Hi students, this is Miss Manning. Sorry that I am not there to be with you today, but I thought that I could at least post this video and that way kind of be with you even while I am not. We're going to start off today doing some context clue work. Basically, this is our weekly word work, except we're going to do 7 questions all in one day, just to give us extra practice since the EOG is this week. So I'm going to show you the first 3 problems, and then you're going to do the remaining 4 independently. But we're using the exact same 3 steps that we always use, so we're going to first talk about what is the tough word and make sure that we're reading the question carefully. Then we're going to think about the job or the part of speech that the word has. And then lastly, we're going to make an inference about the word's definition. So let's start by making sure your name is on your paper, please, first and last. I'll give you a second to do that. And now we're going to read the passage for question 1. It says, spider silk is an ideal material, says Randy Lewis of the University of Wyoming in Laramie. If you can mimic it, you can eliminate an awful lot of the problems you have with all the man-made materials that are currently available. Here's the question. What is the meaning of the word mimic as used in the sentence below? If you can mimic it, you can eliminate an awful lot of problems you have with all the man-made fibers that are currently available. So step 1, I want to identify the tough word that the question is asking me to infer. That word is mimic. So I'm going to draw a box around the word mimic. Then I want to think about what is the job or the part of speech that mimic has in the sentence. I notice here that mimic is next to the word can, and can is part of a verb or part of an action. So the phrase says, if you can mimic it. That tells me that mimic is something that you are doing to it. And an action is always a verb. So I'm going to write the job of this word is a verb. And it's something that's being done with spider silk. Okay, so now I know the word's job. I know it's an action. And I want to try to think about the word's definition. It seems to me that this person wants to make or sort of copy spider silk because it's better than all of the man-made fibers. And so I want to look for an answer choice that has something to do with making or copying or creating. And I think I can sort of replace it and put it in place of mimic and see if that makes sense. So choice A says break. Break is kind of like destroy. I know this person doesn't want to destroy spider silk because they say it's really great and you wouldn't want to destroy something that you like. Stretch. I don't really see any evidence that they want to stretch the silk because again they seem to want to replace this man-made fiber when stretching wouldn't really help you with that. Copy. If I put copy in the place it says if you can copy it. This seems to be a good choice to me because if they can create something that's like spider silk, then they don't have to use these man-made fibers, which are worse. Sell. If you can sell it. Sell would also make sense actually, but if I think about where I've heard the word mimic before, I've actually heard that it's something like repeating, and repeating is sort of like copying, so I'm going to go with copy. Choice C. Question 2. We love the silkworm, says David Kaplan of Tufts University in Medford, Mass., who has been studying silk for many years, but spider silk is so diverse, we want to exploit that. Most spiders like to be alone. When they are crowded in one place, they sometimes eat each other. This makes it hard to have a spider farm for collecting silk, so scientists are studying how spiders make silk with the hope that the technique can be copied, perhaps even in other animals. Here's the question. Based on the paragraphs above, what is the meaning of the word diverse? So step 1, I want to make sure I'm reading the question carefully, and I see that it's asking me about the word diverse. Right away, I know that there's a root in this word. The root is die. We've studied that before. Die means two. You've probably heard it in words like dissect, to cut into, diverge, to go in 2 directions. So I'm thinking this word might have something to do with the meaning of 2. My next step, I want to say the job of the word diverse. If I go up here to where it appears, I see that the sentence says, but spider silk is so diverse. I know based on this context that diverse is describing spider silk. Spider silk is a noun, and words that describe nouns are adjectives. So I'm going to say the job is adjective, describing spider silk, what it's like. Okay, now I'm going to do the hardest part, which is trying to figure out the definition of diverse. There's actually not a ton of context here for me to work with, except in the second paragraph, it says that most spiders like to be alone. When they are crowded in one place, they sometimes eat each other. This sort of connects to the different types of spiders and how they don't always get along. And different types of spiders relates to how spider silk is diverse, because if di means two, then I know that diverse have something to do with going in different directions. And spiders, there are many different types of spiders. So I'm guessing that there's many different types of spider silk. So I'm going to look for an answer choice that has something to do with different or going in two directions, because that's what the root tells me. A says colorful. I don't get any evidence at all that it's colorful, so I'm going to cross that out. B says different. Different and diverse even have the same root in them, di, so that's looking like a decent answer choice. Similar, I think similar is actually the opposite of diverse, because that means like having things in common or coming together as one. Modern means nowadays instead of old. Spiders have existed for a really, really long time, and so there's no way that spider silk can be modern. That just doesn't make any sense at all. So I'm going to go with B, different. Last one we're going to do together, number 3. It says, Liam found his voice. All I ask is a wee dram of knowledge and the wisdom to make good choices, he said. Then cringed, afraid the fairy queen would mock him. What is the meaning of cringed? Let's box that. Right away, I'm noticing that cringed ends in ed. We've talked about this. Words that end in ed often have the same job. And the job of those words is a verb. The reason they end in ed is it's past tense. But I don't want to just say verb. I want to say who is doing this action in the sentence, because that's going to help me figure it out. So I go up to the top and it says, he said, then cringed, afraid the fairy queen would mock him. The person who's cringing is Liam. So I'm going to say what Liam is doing. He seems to be cringing because, and this is my evidence, he's afraid the fairy queen would mock him. I know the word mock means to make fun of, and if you're afraid that somebody's going to make fun of you, I don't think you're going to be very happy. And so if he's cringing, I think it's something negative, maybe kind of shying away from her, or just responding in some kind of negative way. So I'm going to look for a negative answer. A says raised eyebrows questioningly. Questioningly isn't negative, it's more neutral. This is what I would do if I had a question about something, not if I was afraid of someone, so I'm going to cross off A. B says moved forward confidently. Confidently means that you are feeling good and positive and strong, which again doesn't match afraid, so I'm going to cross off B. Hunched shoulders anxiously. Being anxious kind of matches being afraid, so this one is seeming a little bit more accurate. D says laughed jokingly. You wouldn't laugh if you were afraid either. So the only answer that's sort of negative and would match being afraid is C. Now that I've shown you questions 1, 2, and 3, I want you to apply the same strategies to questions 4 through 7. Once you're done, go on to the next tile of this blend space. Good luck.